If you're like me, then you're a bit of a cheapskate, but that doesn't stop you wanting to not look like a cheapskate. Spending less to get more is one of the most satisfying feelings on the planet, and watches are no exception. Since a bargain can be had at any price, I've grouped together 3 batches of watches I think present some of the best value for money in the world. The first around $1,000, the second $5,000, and the third $10,000. Stay until the end for a bonus watch, the one I think is the best value watch in the entire world. A tiny, cheapish looking watch that you could have found down the back of your granddad's rocking chair would hardly be considered the opening entry for a topic about watches that look more expensive than they are. But at just $200, the Timex Marlin presents an opportunity that's incredibly hard to beat. Everything about the specification is about making it affordable. The dinky 34mm case, the acrylic crystal, the hand-wound Seagull ST6 movement. This is a no-frills watch, which actually is something of a benefit. For the same reason people seek out older, skinny-tired, low-powered cars with manual gearboxes and no turbos, this watch is a time machine back to an era where watches were simpler and purer. The Marlin is an almost exact replica of a 1960s watch, and apparently so is the price too. With just 30 meters of water resistance, however, the Timex Marlin isn't so much a watch you can smash about in. For that, you'll be spending closer to $800, but it'll be worth it for a watch that makes that price seem like it should be wholesale. This is the Halios Seaforth, and rather confusingly, I see it's the 4th edition of the Seaforth to come forth from the series. Never mind about that, it's an $800 trip to Bargain Town, a feature-rich dive watch boasting 41mm of 200-meter water-resistant stainless steel wrapped around a Swiss Sellita SW200 movement, capped with a luminous sapphire bezel. You can even get it in titanium too, but the biggest bargain feature of all is to be found on the dial. You can go for boring black if you want, or sunny Bahama yellow, but the real value is to be found in a pastel blue that's been rather popular of late. From what I understand about watches, that immediately adds several zeros of value to the price tag. If sheer affordability or dive performance aren't what you're looking for, however, and you just want to get a simple watch that's as high quality as possible for the smallest spend, then let me introduce you to Fera. Designed in the good old U of K, Fera transparently outsources production to Swiss white label manufacturer Roventa Hennex to get a level of quality that's not often seen for the price point. Given that Roventa Hennex assures potential customers of its discretion, you can imagine the stories they could tell about the other secret brands that come through their doors. In amongst some questionably pompous names like Resolute and Erebus, you'll find the Lethbridge, a $1,000 38.5mm cushion case watch that's all about the details. Applied markers on a layered dial with multiple textures and blued features for the front, a hand-wound Sellita SW216 à la Bourre for the back. There's even a bronze cap for the crown. If you're looking for maximum value, it's hard not to think of Tudor's hottest release of 2022, the Black Bay Pro. This is Rolex watchmaking for less than half price. It's as simple as that. Personally, I think the Black Bay Pro is a better rendition of that original Explorer 2 than Rolex's own current Explorer 2, which makes the $3,600 spend even more appealing. And there's no catch. The 39mm case protects the in-house caliber MT5652, which is chronometer certified by the way, to 200 meters, and there's a 70-hour power reserve to get you through to the weekend. Okay, so one tiny catch. It's 14.9mm thick, nearly 3mm more than the Rolex Explorer 2. Is that worth an extra 2.5 times the price? If you're just plain sick of Switzerland and the whole Rolex thing, then jump across the border to Germany for one of the best cost-to-quality watches you'll find in all of watchmaking, the Dornbluth & Son Caliber 99.1M. Now that's a pretty boring name because the tiny team making these watches don't have a fancy pants marketing department. All they care about is making a stunning watch, and that's what you'll get. The grained sterling silver dial can be customized in a whole number of ways, allowing the choice of printed or applied markers, heat-blued hands, engraved markings, and even ceramic dials. The only limit is a series of different options available in the catalogue. But the masterpiece is in the back. If I told you the Caliber 99.1M is based on an off-the-shelf movement, you'd think I'd been drinking paint again. But it really is. It's just been reworked to such an insane degree that it's no longer recognisable. There's screwed gold shatons, graining and beveling, and even an engraved balance cog. The more you look, the more the $4,980 price seems like it must be a trick. We're staying in Germany for now for the Nomos Zurich World Time, because not only does this watch and its in-house Caliber DUW 5201 look way more expensive than the $5,100 price point would suggest, it also packs a complication that's, to my knowledge, completely unique. You can probably tell by the everything about this watch that it's a world timer. That means you can easily set it to the city nearest to where you're going with the pusher top right, aligning it with the arrow at 12, and with it, move the main time display to show that time. But you also get to see what time it is at home too, with the layered subdial at the right, which gives you a 24-hour glance to make sure you don't interrupt story time. It's probably the most well thought out world timer out there. Chronograph watches come in all shapes and sizes, brands and prices, and at $6,900 you might be confused into thinking this Habring 2 Chrono Felix is not such great value after all. That's because I didn't just want to find the cheapest watches, but the ones that are the best made, and this is that. You're looking at the same price as an Omega Speedmaster for a finish that is leagues ahead, a level of refinement that makes watches twice the price get a little sweaty. It looks simple, sure, but as we know from our Lange Zone, simplicity done well trumps complexity done by Richard Mille. The 38.5mm steel case houses the in-house Caliber A11CH1, a very unique and well-finished movement that also adds a monopusher complication to the watch. I get if you don't get it, but you've got to get one to get it. Get it? It's unusual to see such a big player in the value category, since more often than not they're the ones setting the benchmark for what value shouldn't be, but nevertheless we have here the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra 150M Coaxial Master Chronometer GMT World Timer 43mm to give it its full name. If value was measured in word count, it'd be the best in the world, and that's not even including the 19 character count model number. It's another world timer, and whilst not as simple and succinct as the Nomos, at $9,400 it goes down the wow factor route in earning its credibility. That's a laser-etched globe in the middle, created from titanium, the blue of the sea, the colour given to it by the etching process. It's by far from the cheapest watch, but with the coaxial Caliber 8938 in back too, it's putting a lot of visual deliciousness on the table for the price. To call $11,300 a bargain seems like madness, that is, until you get to experience the Kudoke K2. We're in Germany yet again. I'm sensing a trend here, for a watch whose quality should cost every bit of twice the asking price, yet somehow doesn't. Let me take you through it. That's a frosted silver dial with brushed and beveled chapter ring and nameplate. That's a hand-engraved and electroplated 24-hour disc at 12. In the back, that Caliber 124H, inspired by 19th century British pocket watches, is frosted, beveled, polished and engraved to world-class levels by hand. How is this possible? Well, I asked them directly. Turns out Kudoke is a husband and wife duo working out of their house with a couple of extra watchmakers to help. They do things the old-fashioned way on old-fashioned equipment to keep the cost down and the quality up. There's a funny sort of irony to the cheapest and most expensive watches here today, finding their value by doing things old school. Perhaps there's something to be learned. But wait, I told you at the beginning I was going to finish up with what I thought was the best value watch in all of watchmaking, that costs the least to give the most impression of expense, and here it is, the Mad 1 Red. Originally created by Max Buser of MB&F in blue for the people who'd supported his dream over the years, he expanded the collection to a limited series available to the public in red. Given the name and the man who conceived it, it is suitably mad, the primary display dominated by an upturn movement and a rotor that spins like it's trying to get the hell out of there. Time is read from layered discs on the side, whose numbers glow like they're set to HDR, and the whole thing is encapsulated in a 42mm wide, 18.8mm thick steel case. The movement you see is a cheapy Miyota 821A, but it's been so heavily overhauled it's barely even worth mentioning. I somehow missed the blue version, so when I saw the red one I immediately assumed that, billed as an affordable version of an MB&F, it would cost north of $20,000, so imagine my surprise when I saw the price was just $2,900. And get this, the blue one was $1,000 less than that. Doesn't take much digging to find some incredible watches that offer way more value than you'd expect. What are your favourite bargain watches that look way more expensive than they are? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see more of me, check me out over on the Watchfinder channel, and please do leave a like and subscribe too. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.